In this video, we're going to break down confidence. The majority of the coaches that struggle or end up failing at building a business is because they don't feel confident. But it's time to talk about what confidence actually is, because we misunderstand what the word is, and therefore we misunderstand what our feelings actually should be, and therefore we have the target in the wrong place. So in this video, we're going to dissect what confidence is, what it isn't, and what you can do to actually experience the feeling of confidence that you need to build the business that you want and make the impact in the world that you're here to make. Let's talk about confidence and the secrets of confidence. You know that I don't love the word secrets because I think there are very rarely any actual secrets. It's a great marketing word that people use all the time because it works, because we are constantly wanting to know the secrets, which basically embeds the fact that we don't have the answers. Somebody else must have the answers. So it just perpetuates our inefficiencies. And it's a marketing word that works. I think there are sometimes secrets, but not so much in information deficit, but in what actually works, right? So in this case, the secret as it relates to confidence is understanding what confidence is and what it isn't, and understanding how we are programmed to search for confidence in a way that doesn't support us, and how we need to change that programming to a way that does support us. So in that regard, this is somewhat of a secret because I don't think people approach confidence correctly. And that's one of the reasons why people just keep staying stuck in this cycle of I'm not confident. And the key concept here, what's the big concept of this conversation? It's that we are missing the understanding of what confidence actually is. And we've been told, actually, before we even talk about what confidence is, let's talk about the importance of confidence. So we've been taught through our programming, through the way that parents raise kids, through what we see in society, all the different inputs out there, for the most part in motivation, personal development, overvalue confidence. Because we've been taught that confidence is a requirement before taking action. If you're going to get up on stage, you need to be confident before you get up on stage. If you're going to offer somebody a coaching program, you need to be confident that you can coach them. You need to be confident in the pricing and all that stuff. And all of that sounds fine. It sounds true, and it's false. The way that we are focused on confidence as humans is just an internal conversation. That's all it is, actually. And there's nothing about our internal conversations that can actually overpower our actions. In other words, we can be telling ourselves not to do something and we still do it. I mean, if you think of like addictions or any kind of temptations or cravings, like, I mean, yesterday you were on the line when I opened up that bag of chocolates and wolfed them down, right? In my head, I was like, I shouldn't be eating this. And I did it anyway. So even though I was telling myself not to do something, I still did it. We have the ability to ignore the advice of any voice that's telling us not to do anything, including our own. So the idea that our mind has to pre-approve our actions is false. So we don't have to actually feel confident to do anything. Now, that's not saying that confidence isn't important, but it's not a requirement for action. And in the entrepreneurial game, especially in the coaching world where we are the product, I believe that is unconfident a word? Unconfident action is required. That we have to take actions that we are not confident in taking in order to learn the lessons that we won't learn when we wait to be confident to act. So this idea that confidence comes first, then action comes second, will drive everyone to the graveyard. That's your dreams will die. And your business will never be built, especially when you are the product. And that's a vulnerable conversation for pretty much all of us. And confidence is in a new area, can't be experienced in an embodied way before we've done something. Meaning, if you're trying to build confidence in a thing you've never done before, how can you feel confidence? The best thing you can do is convince yourself in a theoretical way that you are confident, but you can't truly be confident in doing something you haven't done before. So in any arena that's requiring us to move beyond our comfort zone, our construct and understanding of confidence will prevent us from ever learning by action. It will prevent us from actually taking the risks, taking the chances. So I think first we have to call BS on the idea that confidence is even required. Mm-hmm. Anything you want to add to that before I go on to the second way that we're off?
I just wrote down, like, our demand blocks what we desire.
I mean, say more.
It's the demand for the impossible, for the thing that is, I mean, literally impossible. Like, we cannot get confident in something like in the body, which you just said a moment ago, which is so true. Our mind doesn't have the body wins always, 100% of the time. The body wins. The mind doesn't have the power to overcome the body, but we're trying to use the mind to overcome the body's lack of confidence to try and get ourselves to feel confident in this thing before we actually do the thing that is the only way to get the confidence that we're demanding we have before we do the thing. I mean, we're not like, I have this image of, those like cartoon characters that are spinning themselves in a circle and they just spin themselves like a corkscrew right into the ground.
Yeah. And we get trapped in this cycle of kind of chasing our tail and searching for something that doesn't exist because we've been programmed that it does. And I can make the argument that lack of confidence actually makes you a better coach. Go? Is that what he said? So if we think as a coach that we need to be confident, that confidence is generally coming from our idea that we know the right thing to say, that if somebody says A, then we will respond with B, and then they will respond with C, and then they will have this big breakthrough, which is essentially the prediction of the future, which you were just alluding to, that it's literally impossible. So if I come into a coaching conversation confident that I know what I'm going to say in terms of being able to answer your questions and solve your problems, then I'm doing you a disservice. Because I've already decided how your coaching session is going to go. I've already pre-paved this path in my mind so that I feel confident, which is what could be more selfish than that? Like, it's your coaching session, but I've determined where we're going to go because I feel safe on the road that I have pre-paved. So as long as I can walk us down my pre-paved safe path, then I will have confidence to invite you into your coaching session with me. But if I don't have the confidence that I know where this call is going to go, then I'm actually a better coach because I will ask questions. I will show up with ignorant curiosity, and that will pull the answers out of you that you have, that I don't have, that I can't have, because you're the one that tied your knots. So I shouldn't be trying to reach in and untie your knots anyway. I should be helping you untie your knots. I should be helping you. I should be the guide that helps you solve your own problems. So what I just alluded to is the redefinition of confidence. And we'll get to that in a second. So the first thing that we want to call BS on is that confidence is even required before taking action. And I'm going to say in the entrepreneurial world, lack of confidence is required to take action that will then produce lessons that you need to learn. And if you didn't need to learn the lessons, you wouldn't lack the confidence in taking that step. So us not having the confidence, the way we think about it, is just confirmation there's a lesson to learn here. And the biggest lessons that we need to learn that are creating the idea that we have no confidence can only be learned through ignorant action, can only be learned by taking the risk when we don't feel confident. So it's not a requirement. The second piece here is that confidence, the way most of us have been taught and the way most of us are chasing it, which you alluded to in terms of feeling it in the body, is we're taught that it's a feeling, and confidence is not a feeling. Confidence is an intellectual construct. And we're going to dive into this. We're going to dissect this because it's really critical that we understand the animal that we're dealing with here so that we stop chasing it in a way that doesn't even need to be chased, and we start focusing on what we actually need instead. And what a lot of us will decide or realize is that the thing that we need, we actually already have, or it's easier to get than the confidence that we're searching for. So the way that we have been taught confidence exists is this feeling in the body, which is not a feeling, but that's the way we language it. This feeling in the body that is actually not even a feeling, but it's not even a thing. It's the absence of things, which is what you were saying earlier before we started rolling the camera. It's the absence of things. It's not even things.
Oh.
So what most of us are misinterpreting as a lack of confidence is the existence of things we can't stop anyway.
Right.
Did something just hit you as you reacted?
Yeah.
there?
Yeah. It's the confidence is the result, right? It's the result. It's not the process. It's not the thing to do. It's the result of the things that we do. And we think it's the presence of the fear and the doubt and the worry and the concern and the I'm not good enough and all of those things. I don't know enough. I'm not ready. I don't have the script. I don't have all the answers. It's the presence of those things that make us believe that we're not confident. And so we don't take the action to get the lesson that's actually going to give us the experience of the confidence that we're searching for.
Yeah. So let's dissect this. I think it's really important that we don't rush this. And for all of you listening, watching, this is going to be huge for you if you're wanting to do anything in the coaching world. And it's going to be something that is important for you to share with your clients, because everything that we're talking about is the pattern that most people are in. It's the pattern of, I don't want to take action unless I'm confident. And this intellectual construct. So first of all, I want to fill in the gaps of what we just alluded to. And then I want to break down what confidence actually is. Because you said something that I think is really important for us to fully understand. Confidence is the result of doing something. Confidence is how we feel about our ability to do something. It's the value that we have or the value that we perceive in our skill set. It's a doing piece, which is why you can't actually be confident in something you haven't done, because confidence is on the other side of doing. It's on the other side of action. And so it's actually based on the result of that action. We'll open that up and pull it apart in a little bit. Going back to this idea that confidence is believed to be a feeling when it's not, what we think is that if we are doubting ourselves, if we are worrying about whether we're going to be able to do it the right way, if we're concerned about the result that's going to happen, if we hear the negative head talk, like, who are you? You're not good enough. Any of that negative chatter, we think if there's any negative internal dialogue, then that means we're not confident. And how many times have we heard people go, well, I'm not confident to do that. And we go, well, how do you know you're not confident? It's because when I think about it, I doubt myself. Oh, so then the definition of confidence for most people is the absence of doubts, fears, and worries. I don't think anybody would actually be able to define confidence without defining it in a negative way like that. And if they had to, it would be something like, I just believe in myself, right? But what the hell does that mean? And
Any of those other things that you just mentioned.
exactly, right. So for those of you that are watching, if this is landing for you, let us know. Like, type in the comment section, because I think it's really important that we recognize what's actually stopping us, and we understand that what's actually stopping us is generally something that is either impossible to change or not important to change, or the thing that we're doing, the thing that we're experiencing is actually the right thing. I spent, I don't know how long on a coaching call earlier today, just talking about everything you're experiencing is perfect. It's part of this process. And what we've decided is what's not supposed to be part of this process. And the things that we've decided in this confidence conversation that's not supposed to be part of this process: doubts, fears, worries, limiting beliefs, insecurities, anxieties, all of that stuff that you cannot be human without experiencing. And if you've listened to videos on this channel, we've broken this down in different contexts and different applications. Your brain, the human brain, when working properly, is designed to keep us out of danger as its highest priority. So the brain, when working properly, is constantly looking for danger signs. It's constantly looking for warning signs. It's constantly considering whether we are prepared to avoid the impending danger. Are we prepared to stay out of trouble? So the brain is constantly questioning, are we ready for this? What if it doesn't work out? If it doesn't work out, if we start driving on that bridge and the bridge falls, do we know how to swim? Do we know how to get out of a car that is submerged in water? Right? It's constantly going through all of these patterns all the time, 24 hours a day. It's how the human brain works to keep us alive. And then here we go saying, I'm not going to take any action unless you stop that thing that you do all the time to keep me alive. As soon as you stop thinking about and considering all the things that might go wrong and then lead to all this negative head talk inside of me, as soon as you stop that, then I'll take action. And I hope hearing this in this way sounds ridiculous, because it is. But it's none of our fault. It doesn't mean we're dumb. It's the programming that we have. And so if we think that confidence is the absence of fears, doubts, and insecurities, and confidence is required to take action, well, I'll tell you what, I've done everything wrong for 15 plus years, everything wrong, because I still am flooded with doubts and worries and insecurities and I don't knows and am I good enoughs constantly. But taking that ignorant action that I was talking about earlier, we've built a brand and made just a ton of money, millions and millions of dollars, and had all kinds of clients and customers, and, did some really powerful stuff in the presence of doubts, fears, insecurities, not in the absence of, and not after getting rid of. It's in the presence of, and that actually fuels us. So I think one of the big pieces, we've said this as it relates to our past, one of the big reframes that we have to have is stop trying to void our doubts, our negative head talk, our insecurities. Stop trying to void them and instead value them. Because it's our insecurities that make us think certain things. And it's the same fears that we have of that bridge being out and us needing to know if we can swim or not. It's that same entity that actually will cause you to ask better questions of your client.
Right.
It's the same curiosity. It's the same inquisitive kind of energy that says, am I prepared if I forget my lines? Am I prepared if I fall in the water and I need to learn how to swim? Am I prepared to do this? It's that same inquisitive curiosity that will cause you to ask questions of your client in the same way that could completely change somebody's life. So instead of trying to void the things that are required, let's start valuing them and then be fueled by them. And we can actually be driven by our insecurities and be better coaches as a result, and also take a lot more action as a result, which is the only way we're ever going to get any outcomes and results, is by taking action, right? So anything that we can remove that prevents action is critical. So this idea of what we think confidence is and what confidence really is important to understand, so that we can remove some of the, when we were talking before we started recording, I said something and you just got sad. And I just had that same feeling like just come over me right now. Like, it's sad that we've been sold this idea of what confidence is and that confidence is required. And if we believe that we need a certain kind of confidence, that we're going to flip here in a moment and explain how you actually can have this confidence, right? The secret to be confident in any situation. We're going to reframe this, but you got to understand all the reasons why it doesn't work, really, for you to truly understand this shift. We've been sold this. And since we've been sold that, then we go on the search for, how do I fill my void? How do I remove those doubts and insecurities and fears? And how do I feel this elusive, confident feeling? And so then if somebody has a program that says, here's how to have this confident feeling, here's how to make sure everybody tells you yes, here's how to avoid rejection all the time, here's how to not care, right? The IDGAF, 0 given. Like, here's how to do all those things. We think, number one, that those things are possible. And as soon as you stop caring, you're a psychopath. So that's actually not a goal that I think anybody should strive for, in the way that we're talking about, like actually literally removing the care button. But so it's not about, not caring. It's about just not letting other people's opinions stop you. I don't know anybody that enjoys not being liked, unless they're a WWE wrestler or something. But the point is that we are sold what confidence is, and that's false. And because of that, we're sold solutions to gain the confidence based on our false understanding of confidence. And so even if we get those programs or attend those seminars or achieve whatever it is that we're buying a not problem to a not solution, right? Or the other way, we're buying a not solution to a not problem. Like, we're buying a solution that doesn't even exist for a problem that's wrong and that's misplaced and misunderstood. And that right there is the cycle that so many people are stuck in. Because if we think that if I think I need to feel confident and I buy this thing to infuse me with confidence, and then I do it and I still have the doubts and feelings that I think I need to not have in order to be confident, well, then I just need another how to get confident program. Or I need another way to sweep my fears and insecurities or whatever under the rug. And that's the cycle of despair is the word that came to me. And like, that's what I felt a few minutes ago. It's just like this cycle of, my goodness, like, we need to change our understanding of and definitions of confidence and whatever is getting in our way that's preventing our action. So we're going to get into that, but I'll throw it back over to you to,
For the record, I was in
you.
a good mood before we started talking. Yeah, I was thinking when you were just speaking about,
but there's hope in all of this, because we're going to give you the answers. It's not just a buzzkill.
And it's the sadness is not about this. The sadness is about the misunderstanding and the belief that we actually think that there's something wrong with us. And that's what I recognized, and not surprising, but interesting, is that I also had a call with a client today who's very successful, deep into personal development, successful business, transitioning from her job into coaching full time, and was talking to me today about how she knows there must be something wrong with her because she's selling something new and she doesn't feel confident in her offers. And she's like, I know there's a problem. There has to be an issue with my money beliefs, and I know I've got stuff there. And I just asked, it's possible. is it also possible that it's just new? Is it also possible that there's not a problem? And that happens so often in personal development that we just get programmed because of that cycle to believe that there is a deficiency in us. So then our belief that we have a lack of self-confidence actually begins to erode at our self-esteem. And then we stop trusting ourselves and recognizing like, oh, I just feel this way, not because I don't have the ability to do this, not because I am not like able bodied to do it, but simply because it's new, simply because I'm walking in a space, in a role, in a position with a client that I haven't done before. That was as highly developed as she is, Sean, that concept, she was flabbergasted. Like it never occurred to her that it just being unfamiliar was a possibility.
And that's a huge word. That's why new is scary and neurologically perceived as dangerous, because we're not familiar with it. If we're familiar with something, we know how to prepare for it. If we're not familiar with something, we don't know how to prepare for it because we've never done it before. And that's what the brain starts grabbing onto, like, well, we've never done this before, warning signs, warning. And to your point, and this, like, this confirmation call that you had today on is just, affirmation of everything that we're talking about, that we have this idea of what confidence is. And she didn't feel the thing that she believes she's supposed to feel. And that's just a massive awareness that, is it possible that it's just new? And that you actually don't lack the thing that you think you're lacking? Because if you think you're lacking a thing that you're not lacking, and or a thing that's not important, and you go on a chase for that, it's not going to solve any problems. And even if you confident yourself into something new, when you start taking action on that same thing that's new, you'll still feel all these doubts and insecurities because it's new, because it's unfamiliar, right? The human that does not have any insecurities at a neurological level, and doubts and fears and whoa, what about, and let's make sure, the human that doesn't have any of those reactions to something new is honestly a human in danger, right? That's the human that won't look both ways and cross the street, and that won't see the manhole cover is gone and fall right down into a hole, and won't see that there's an edge of a cliff that they're about to walk off of. Like, that truly is a human that's in physical danger for their lives if they don't have any of those safety warnings with something unfamiliar.
Right.
So the presence of those things is confirmation of unfamiliar. It's not confirmation of lack of confidence. Right. And those things are different. So this idea that I don't feel confident is what's stopping so many people, needs to be tackled. And as we said earlier, that confidence is not a feeling, it's an intellectual construct. It's a series of conditions that our intellect wants to be satisfied. Meaning, like, there are 10 boxes that need to be checked. And if those 10 boxes are checked, then the intellect says, okay, it's okay for us to take action. But that's not a feeling. Those are conditions of satisfaction. And the conditions of satisfaction that most people are needing is that the outcome will be the right outcome. And we're putting that in air quotes, and we're going to dive into that. So what's missing for most people isn't something that's actually seeable or fulfillable. What's missing for most people is this perception of feeling of confidence. And since we don't feel that confident, that confident feeling like your client did, then our brain will come up with things that we need to figure out first before we can approve taking action. And so usually they will come in some form of what's the right thing to do? Yeah. What's the right price to charge? What's the right
platform to use, what's the right methodology, what's the right marketing tactic, what's the right thing to do. And we just get bombarded and overwhelmed with this, it's the cycle of, I don't know, right? I don't know if it's this. I don't know if it's that. I don't know. And until I do know, then I can't go, right? I don't know, so I can't go is a recipe for a disaster. But to your point earlier, what we're demanding that we know is unknowable. So as long as we need to know that the result is going to be the right result, we will never have intellectual permission to take action as long as we hold on to that as the definition of confidence. And to dive into this even deeper, what people are wanting is some kind of guarantee that it's going to go the right way, that they're going to get the right result, that if I say the right thing, then they will give me the right answer. And usually the right answer is defined by a yes, especially in business, right? If I offer my program, then the right answer is yes, they want to buy it. And the wrong answer is no, I don't want to buy it. So then our brain will try to do everything to manipulate people into a yes by saying the right things. And until we know the right things, then we won't have the confident feeling going forward. And it's all just a mirage. It's like a disguise. And it sounds really smart for us to go, I don't really know the right thing to do. And then we buy our sexy excuses, right? Since I don't know the right thing to do, I'm going to wait and get prepared because I'm smart before I actually take action because, I don't want to waste money. I don't want to waste time. So in my preparation, my intelligent preparation to make sure I do the right thing, I do nothing. And until that pattern of what we're searching for changes, we'll never satisfy those conditions. And in reality, all of those are disguises, all of those being, I don't know, and what's the right thing. And until I have the right thing, I'm not going to go. All of those are disguises for I'm scared because I don't feel confident in myself. This is where the shift has to take place, where we understand what's actually underneath the demand for confidence and where we should be sourcing our confidence. So in the coaching world, is there anything you want to add before I continue on this path?
Yeah, like 1,000 things. Go ahead.
So in the coaching world, the worst thing you can do, if you want to be a horrible coach, then pre-plan how your coaching calls are going to go. And then why are we even doing this? If everything is pre-planned, then why show up to the coaching call? Why would you show up as the coach? Why don't you just do a video and tell somebody what they should do with their lives? And why should they show up on the call? Why don't you both save time and just exchange the information, right? That's not transformational coaching. Transformational coaching is about exploration. The process of exploring when humans are involved is impossible to predict. And we hear this all the time, or we say this all the time. And it's one of the things that, according to what you've told me, used to piss you off so much, is every answer pretty much starts with,
I don't know. It depends.
It depends. I don't know. It depends. Yeah, but what can I say to get my client to, I don't know. Who's your client? And what relationship do you have? And what fears do they have? And what relationship do they have to success and to failure? And what kind of leverage do they have in their lives? What kind of urgency do they have in their lives? There's so much variation from human to human that trying to predict anything related to human behavior is a waste of time. It's impossible and it's disrespectful to your client. So why are we trying to fulfill something that's impossible? What was the second one I said? Irrelevant and disrespectful, whatever that second one was. Why would we say that that's what we need? when it's the worst thing that you can do to show up as a transformational coach anyway. So the point here is you cannot source your confidence from the ability to predict the future. And anytime you're searching for the right thing that will produce the right outcome, you're trying to predict the future. And if we really want to get deep and truthful, we're searching for the right thing to do so that we can experience the right outcome, or so we think. We think we're searching for that. What we're really searching for is a guarantee that we won't do the wrong thing and that we won't have the wrong outcome. And even though those things sound similar linguistically, the come from is completely different. Meaning we're not actually trying to succeed. We're trying to not fail. We're not actually trying to get it right. We're trying to guarantee that we don't get it wrong. So then our search for confidence is sourced from not getting it wrong.
Yeah. We're not trying to predict. We're trying to protect.
Boom. That's a retweetable. That's an Instagrammable. Right. We're trying to protect from getting it wrong.
Right.
Now, why would we protect from getting it wrong? Because we don't want to screw people's lives up, because we don't want to be idiots. We don't want to be embarrassed. We don't want to be put on the spot and not be able to answer questions. That's our ego's protection. And anytime we're trying to protect ourselves, guess who's no longer the important one in the conversation?
Bingo.
The client. So if we show up to protect our ego, we are not committed to our client's transformation.
No.
And what the hell does our ego have to do in the client's conversation anyway? Honestly, I mean, our ego has messed our lives up for the most part. So why would we want to add that into somebody else's life, right? Not that the ego has no value, it does, but not in this case. When our ego gets involved to protect our self-image and self-concept and self-esteem in a conversation about another human's life, what are we doing?
Yeah.
So that will let us know that we're actually not showing up in service. We're showing up in protection. We're showing up in self-protection, not service to somebody else.
Yeah.
So how does all of this shift? It's actually very, very simple. That doesn't mean it's easy, but it's simple.
Yeah.
The simple answer is that we have to redefine, based on a re-understanding of what confidence is. So we need to re-understand what confidence is, or for many of us, just understand it first.
Right.
And then we need to redefine what it is. And then we need to understand what we're actually missing and what will actually give us the feeling that we're looking for. And it's not confidence based on all the stuff that we're talking about. It's not confidence of anything going right. In a coaching context, what most new coaches specifically, or anybody that lacks confidence, and that lack of confidence is stopping them from doing the marketing and the messaging and the spotlight and visibility and all that stuff you need, it's probably because you don't feel like you're going to be able to answer everybody's questions.
Yep.
And so then if we're not able to answer the universe of potential questions, we don't feel confident. And since we don't feel confident, we won't put ourselves out there, because we don't want to put ourselves in that situation where either we're going to feel embarrassed or we're not going to be able to help somebody else out. So the crux of this problem is that we've defined confidence as a coach as our ability to answer people's questions, our ability to solve people's problems. And as long as our confidence is determined by our ability to solve other people's problems, we'll never be confident. We need to source our ability or our confidence rather, not in our ability to solve problems, but our ability to ask questions. And our asking of the questions is what will lead to solving of the problems, but not by us, by the client most of the time. Of course, sometimes, we offer perspectives and we share information that they might not have, and we illuminate things that are in their blind spot. But our confidence as a coach needs to be sourced by only what we can control, not by what we can predict, and not by what we're going to answer based on that unpredictable prediction. It's based on, can I ask questions? Can I bring my curiosity? Can I bring my exploration and ask the questions that can lead people to the answers? And then can we co-create when necessary? That confidence is sourced internally. And I don't think I've ever heard a human mouth say, I don't feel confident in my ability to ask questions. If we're talking about asking questions, some people might say, I don't know if I can ask the right questions,
Sure.
which on some level goes back to everything that we were talking about. But on another level, it is valid.
Sure.
Because asking the right questions in a coaching context requires us to understand what coaching actually is, especially transformational coaching, which requires us to understand humans.
Right.
We need to understand how humans work. How does human behavior actually change? And it doesn't change with new information or better information. That's not what changes human behavior. You have to understand what actually shifts human behavior. And then when you understand the animal that you're dealing with, then you can ask those powerful questions. And we should put a link here, some kind of card somewhere, and we'll link it in the description of the powerful coaching questions that you can ask. So that's a valid question, but it has to be built upon our understanding of what human transformation actually is. Because if you just get all those questions that you can find in that video, and you were to just put it on a script and you were just to ask the questions, I mean, some of the questions are powerful by themselves, but if you don't understand the foundation underneath the questions, then your ability to use the questions will be restricted, right? So you want to understand the foundation of human behavior, and then you can really tap into the curiosity and truly become, like what might feel like overnight, become not just a confident coach, but become a coach with certainty.
Yeah.
And that's one of the most common words that we talk about on this channel because it's so critical. And certainty is more of a feeling because there's more stability in the idea of certainty, and there's more control in certainty as it relates to coaching the way we're talking about. So could you take somebody that is really struggling in life, and could you ask them certain questions that you need to ask? And could you guide them to the illumination of the answers they probably have? Could you guide them to see inside the blind spots? And if you study human behavior, then the answer to that is going to be yes. And the other thing that came out when we were talking earlier is that building certainty in coaching is actually a studying process and a practicing process, right? Which is why we create our courses that way. So if any of you are interested in becoming more certain as a coach and understanding all the things we're talking about, and programs and belief systems and conflicts and values and all the things that drive human behavior, then look at our certification program, because it's really about understanding human behavior. And once we understand human behavior, then we can tap on some coaching skills on top of it. We can tack on some coaching concepts. And I think a lot of coaching certification programs don't teach human behavior. They just teach coaching questions.
Correct.
Well, if you don't understand human behavior, it's like going in and trying to manipulate the behavior of a lion because you learned how to tame an armadillo. Okay, great. Just because you learn how to tackle one animal doesn't mean it's going to transfer to another animal, because we're talking about completely different behaviors, different drivers, different recipes, all in total. So for any of you that want to be a more confident and certain coach, check out our online certification program, because that's really the majority of that program. And then the coaching skills can actually be learned and used and controlled and understood in a much quicker way, because it just sits on top of all of this foundation of human behavior. So as a coach, if you can source your certainty and your confidence from your ability to listen to people, your ability to build rapport with people, your ability to ask questions, your ability to understand how the human responds to conflict, how the human tries to wiggle away from insecurity, how the human creates sabotaging patterns in the form of sexy protection mechanisms or perfectionism. If you understand how the human brain works, your ability to ask questions and your ability to coach people into their transformations will just go through the roof. And
Yep.
I remember when I made that shift. I remember when I recognized that I believe that everybody has the internal power to change their life. And my job is to help not manipulate, but help facilitate that shift. And I can be confident in my facilitation of the shift because I've studied what it takes for humans to shift. I still, to this day, can never predict what's going to happen in a coaching call. I know you can't either. I don't think you can. And every time I try to, I'm wrong. So it's like the thing that most people are trying to achieve is impossible, irrelevant, and damaging all at the same time. And that's what forms our understanding of confidence. What do you want to add to that before we wrap up?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, that's it. Yes. Yeah. It's the word that stood out to me earlier is disrespectful. It's disrespectful to humans. I think I texted you this a couple of days ago. I was like, it's fascinating, right? Like we humans are really, we're very simple. And once we really truly understand how we operate as humans, our behavior patterns are pretty predictable. And that doesn't mean that the solution to that is going to be predictable, because that's where the individual comes in, and not just the individual, like Sean is an individual and I'm an individual. The individual that I am in the morning versus the individual I am right now. We're ever evolving. So even the same, the strategy or approach with me on a Tuesday might not work for me on a Wednesday. But when we understand and we take the time and the care to really, really get to know how do humans work and how does sabotage work and all of the content that we teach inside of our certification programs, when we really get that, then we're able to have a place to start, right? Just a first step on a path, and then be curious and kind of have these tools and these questions as like little branches or pieces of fruit we can pull down as we walk out this journey alongside of our clients. Understanding the human and the really truly beautiful simplicity of that human allows us to have this open freedom to be able to utilize these tools. And so if we go from the ground up, it's so much easier than thinking that we need to know from the tools from the top down. And I know that from personal experience. Everything's just so much easier.
It's a really important point that we are simple, but what most coaches are craving is easy.
Yeah.
Coaches want the easy route. Coaches want to know that they're prepared. Coaches want to know how to answer the questions, and I get it. And I want to know how to answer the questions. I want to stay safe and all the things that our human brain wants us to do. And easy is disrespectful, because what we're searching for in our construct of confidence that we're talking about is a static set of rules that won't change.
Right.
In dealing with humans, that never won't change.
Right.
Like we're dealing with animals that constantly change, and yet we're searching for rules that won't change.
Now, if you like this video, let's keep the confidence train rolling. Check out that video. It's actually the whole first module of our neurotransformational coaching online certification program.
Coaching should be about being a guide on the side. You got to let your ego go